You should have already given a blank piece of paper, and you've already folded it into thirds. So on the left-hand side, we're going to put a plus sign for positive. And then down at the bottom, we're going to put a subtraction sign. So go ahead and open up your flap. And with your pencil, we're going to write 4 steps down. That'll help us solve these problems. So step number 1, if you see a subtraction sign and a negative sign together, connect to make a plus sign. So anytime that you see a subtraction sign and a negative together, connect to make a positive sign. Then the second step is to circle each number, including the sign in the front. And I'll show you what that means in a second. The third step, this is basically the rules. We have an S plus, which means that the same sign we're going to add, and we have a D minus, which means when the signs are different, you're going to subtract. So when you see the same signs, you're going to add. When you see different signs, you're going to subtract. So step 4 is to keep the sign of the larger number. Alrighty, so let's do our first example and walk through these steps. So I'm going to have negative 5 minus negative 3. So the first step says if I see a subtraction sign with a negative sign, I'm supposed to make a plus sign. So I'm going to take my colored pencil. I'm just going to make a big plus sign connecting those two. The second step is to circle each number, including the sign in front of it. So I'm going to circle the 5 and the negative sign in front of it. I'm going to circle the 3 and then plus sign that we created. So step 3, we have to determine if they're the same signs or different signs. So if I go back to the problem, I see that I have a negative 5 and a positive 3. We know that they're different, which means that I'm going to subtract them. So we're just going to subtract 5 minus 3, which is going to give me 2. So then step number 4 is to keep the sign of the larger number. So 5 is larger than 3 and carries the negative sign, so this is going to be a negative 2. So looking at my second example, I have negative 11 minus 23. So going through the first step again, to see if I have a negative or subtraction sign with a negative sign, and in this case I do not, so then I follow step number 2. We're going to circle each number and the sign in front of it. Step number 3, we have to determine if they're the same sign or different signs. And we see that they both have negative. So because they're the same sign, we're going to add them together. So then 23 plus 11 is 34. And we always take the sign of the larger number. So 23 is larger than 11, so this is going to be a negative 34. So example number 3, negative 14 plus 21. So I don't see that there's a negative sign or a subtraction sign together, so I'm going to go ahead and go to step 2, and I'm going to circle my number and the sign in front of them. This is going to be a D- question because the signs are different, so I'm going to subtract them. So subtract just like I normally would. And your answer would come out to be 7. And then we're going to do step number 4, keep the sign of the larger number. So we know 21 is larger than 14, so it came out to be a positive 7. So example number 4, we have 19 minus 32. We do not have two signs together, so we can't do that step. So step number 2 is to circle the sign and the number. We notice that these are a D- question, so the signs are different. So again, we're going to subtract. And the answer comes out to be 13. 32 is larger than 19, so my answer is going to be negative 13. So you're going to go ahead and glue this into your composition notebook in just a second. And then if you will go ahead and, stay still. If you'll go ahead and write down these 6 questions, these are what's going to be for your homework tonight.